Alright, use the restroom before. This is where I'm in recording. I don't know if I'm going to put this out on YouTube or ever, anywhere. Just terrified. But I should record in case I need to. A little paranoia, anxiety, stress, that kind of thing. There's no napkins in there. Alright.
So
no napkins over here either.
they have some napkins. That's what I had to do.
Oh, there it is.
They have all these signs how they're going to find you, but they don't provide napkins.
Yeah, no, that's
Paper towels
awful.
or anything.
Alright. I'll be up there by myself. What's that? I'll be up there by myself.
Yeah, no, I was just going to text you. I'm going to the car.
All right.
So I can find the lead.
As long as I can. Really? I'm terrified of being completely honest. Because then they'll be like, oh, you shouldn't even be here. Go to jail or fucking something. Mental health hospital or whatever. So there's that stuff for me going on. I have no idea if I'll ever actually keep this. Recording either, but I don't really know what to do on it, so. One party consent, it's a very, very public look into a very private part of my life. So, yeah, a bit rough. I got some time. Suppose I should pause this because my meeting isn't until 10. And we got here a little early. My mom slept in, so I was stressing about that. I called her like 4 or 5 times. Because your alarm didn't go off, or it went off, she didn't hear it and wake up. I barely slept. I got like 4, maybe 5 hours. I don't even know what they're doing it for, but then there's that. I had a Psych Eval before this one. So I'm wondering what's going on with that. Trying to register on another network. So I got a affordable connectivity program phone, Obama phone, and the cell service in the area is intermittent, to say the least. I have to change the carrier to a roaming one, so that way I can actually use the phone for literally anything other than just calling. if I want to text, I have to actually roam on another uh, cell service so I can even text. So there's that. And there's only certain places that you can be in that will give you texting and calling. So there's those things going on. They're like, it's a great phone. Not really. I mean, the phone, yeah, no, it's a phone that's just by her. My mom bought like years ago at this point, and it showed. It's slower now, along with the battery not really lasting. So, standard stuff. Already had a cracked screen and had to replace that. And it barely gets most of the job done. To be fair, though, this phone is actually, unsurprisingly, in my mind, better at being a computer than my Chromebook or the other older computers I have. So there's that going on there. I should pause this and wait. Well, I wasn't able to change the cell thing, but apparently the cell service network, I was able to get on an open Wi-Fi signal for the Super 8 motel or hotel that they had me going to have Eval. That's right, it's a Super 8. I could never actually, and it turns out it doesn't matter, even if it is at a hospital or a clinic or something. My insurance access that I'm on, Arizona Health Cost Containment, whatever the fuck system thing it is, won't. Because they have this system where you can use the insurance to drive you to appointments, you know, for your doctor appointments and whatnot. They won't do it for SSDI or SSI evals because they can't bill it to the insurance. And then they're like, we know you have no transportation. It's like, how did you do this? Well, the first time I asked the Department of Economic Security Vocational Rehabilitation Services to give me money so I could get a rideshare service to then be able to go over there. Well, they didn't get it in time. Then I had a neighbor that I asked drive me to there, and then I got it for the next appointment. That was the first one. The second one, I had my mother drive me over 3 hours away to a eval. That was about 2 weeks ago. And this one, again, mother as well. It was $100 from the first one, from where I was to this point, at the Super 8, because both of them are at the Super 8, and then $100 back. The government paid for that. And I didn't get the first one. It was a neighbor. And there's nothing I could do to really pay her back, so there's that going on. And same thing when it comes down to like the whole mom situation. It's like for travel reimbursement. And I'm like, uh, yeah, I don't know how to do that. And nobody, I didn't talk to my lawyer or something about this. I need to do the survey. I never did the survey. They have you try and fill out this like little questionnaire survey and like how well people did and so on. And like it's somewhere in there. I have no idea where. How the hell do they expect me to get here? But it's like they need this eval, so that way they can change their mind, is what they phrase it as. But then they'll be like, no, 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 because you managed it, somehow you're functional. That's not how that works. It's a lot of stress and strain on a lot of other people. There's no public transport, no ride share, got no income. There's no transportation for me. It's others that are doing it. Yeah, it's not me. It's others. I don't have a car. I have insurance. I don't have any of that. But it's like, how did you get there? I'm like, so I go to my abusive mother and I ask her really nicely to take me. Or the neighbor who's racist and belittles a muscular dystrophy grandchild she has. And then I get there. You gotta do what you gotta do, right? Sometimes you're willing to put up with things. Because like you think that the end result's supposed to be a positive. But what I hear from a bunch of slack-jawed idiots that are often Republican excusers, enablers, and more is that somehow they have something that they don't. They're more functional than they are. A fucking Super 8? That's rural ass shit. That's what that is. It's supposed to help me somehow. I don't know how. Because like honestly, I'm like, how in the fuck am I supposed to do this? I know you need it or something, but why? They're giving you like mental health hospital after mental health hospital after mental health hospital after doctor after doctor after doctor. Release a record, release a record, release. But then it's like, what did they never release it to you? I can give you all of the files and folders I have. Still. Right. Which I should do. You know what I mean? And yet here I am. You know, because it's like, I've got my own copies. It's like, we have this stuff from previous, before we'll get it from them. And I'm like, well, I don't have any release records signed. I don't know how the hell you're supposed, but that's while I'm in the homeless shelter. I'm applying for SSI over the phone, having to say these things are going on with me while I'm in and around other people in a very private, embarrassing phone call. And yet I do it. Didn't get SSI. I'm on a appeal. I'm like, do they have the information? Why are they doing another psychiatric and psych eval? Why are they still doing more? I had a physical exam. Do they need another one? They didn't trust the first one. They didn't trust this. And it's like, he presented with these things. And I'm like, yeah. Which you should have already had. I mean, some of them are new when it comes down to degenerative arthritis. But then the mental health stuff? I mean, we got a bunch of conflicting things over the years. I'm like, yeah, same. I went through that. All of them debilitating, though. Serious mental disorders that would give me disability over the years. No lies there. I also don't know. Just as much as apparently the doctors can't decide.
Mr. Duncan?
Hey.
Over there. And as you get situated, I can see your ID.
All right, can I sit closer next to you so I can hear you better?
I'll just speak a little louder.
Okay.
Yeah. But do you have your ID?
Yeah.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
You know why they give you a Super 8 to do this in?
This is where the state sends us. Yeah, in Prescott, it's the La Quinta.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fabulous digs.
Yeah.
So my name's Dr. Kinslow. I'm a clinical psychologist.
Nice to meet
My
you.
practice, nice to meet you. My practice is Purple Heart Behavioral Health, and I contract with the state to conduct the psychological evaluations for those who either have been awarded Social Security disability benefits, and then also for those who are making a claim for Social Security disability benefits.
Okay.
So what we talk about today is not confidential. Everything that we talk about goes into the report, and then the report goes to the disability examiner. This is just one piece of the information that they'll take into consideration regarding your claim.
All right.
There's some privacy. I'm not going to leave here today and then go tell other people what we talk about, but there is a limit to that. If you tell me anything where I believe you're a danger to yourself or to others, then I do have to get the help of others to make sure that you're safe. I'll be asking you a lot of questions. It's highly likely that I will interrupt you. My intent isn't to be rude. It's that we have a limited amount of time to be able to get through everything.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that the report is as thorough and accurate as possible.
All right. Thank you.
Now, what additional questions do you have?
Mine is more like how they expect me to get here. I have no transportation, and there's no real way to get money for rideshare service. So if it wasn't for like in the past, I was able to get money from Broke Rehab to be able to pay for a rideshare. There's like one of the few ones in the area, or a neighbor that was willing to take me. In this instance, it was my mother both times. I had to do a 3-hour drive with her all the way to Safford, Arizona. And that was just intense. By the time I got there, I was already.
Okay, so what questions do you have regarding this appointment?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really have many.
Okay, then we can go ahead and get started. What race do you identify as?
White, Caucasian,
And are you left or right-handed?
right-handed.
And what medications have you taken today?
See here, I'm on Focalin right now, and I think that's so far what I've taken. So.
Is there anything additionally that you're prescribed that you have yet to take today?
Sildenafil, generic Viagra.
Anything else?
No. No, I think those are the only prescribed things.
All right. And then so you came today with your mother?
Yeah.
And about how many miles did you travel?
From Springerville to Shola. So
About how many miles did you travel?
it's over 50.
And how long did it take you?
We got here 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that.
So about 45 minutes?
Yeah.
And what time did you arrive?
9:40-ish.
Now, have you been awarded benefits or is this your claim?
This is a appeal.
Okay. What's the reason for the claim?
Wow, I can't really function well enough to perform any kind of task consistently, let alone like directions given, be able to do them correctly, remember them, be able to sit for long periods or stand for long periods, be able to lift a lot. I certainly can't handle the mental and emotional strain and stress being around others or having to even perform like a basic entry-level job can put on you. So, basically because I'm disabled.
And initially, some of my questions are going to sound redundant, but it's only because I can't put words into your mouth, okay?
Right.
Like I can't infer. And so right now it's more high level, and then a little bit later I'll ask more details, okay? What year did you first start to have challenges?
My mom says around when I was 4 years old.
And when
I'd
did
have
it
to
first,
agree with her on that one these days.
when did it first begin to interfere with your ability to work?
Before I was even legally allowed to work.
How did it interfere with work?
It made it so I couldn't perform any task given to me. Basically that, yeah. There's nothing I could actually do. I couldn't hear, I couldn't listen, I couldn't focus, I couldn't perform the thing, I couldn't do it consistently. I had no ability to.
And you haven't worked since when?
This year, 2021, and that was like for a week. While I was homeless, trying to get out of being homeless. So there's no real way.
And you're not currently able to work because?
Disabled.
Okay.
But you asked that actually.
Right. Remember I told you I was going to ask.
No,
question.
I know. Yeah.
So currently you're not able to work because, give me more than disabled, because that's why you're here today.
Right. Yeah, no, I know. Can't perform the task. Can't stay on task. Can't do what's asked of me. Can't remember what's asked of me. Don't know how to work around that. All the therapy I've done, all the medications I've tried, don't allow for me to suddenly do this.
Then have you attempted to go back to work since 2021?
No.
So keep in mind, I'm not the person who makes the decision. And so what I really try to do is make a report as best possible. So then that way the person making the decision, in addition to this report, whatever other records they have, can make the best decision for you. So some of my questions, they may seem annoying. You may be like, they already know, but
I don't know if they know.
Yeah, so my goal is to work with you
Right.
to give the best report, Okay,
Thank you.
so try not to get frustrated with me
Not
if I'm
you.
asking the same questions over. It's just because, again, I can't state it for you, and even though the questions sound similar, they are different for them.
No, it seems
Okay.
like a standard interrogation to make sure you stay on track and with what it is you're saying, like that a cop and or other authority figure is trying to grill you and get you to change it and trip up.
Well, that's not my goal. I don't want you.
Well, it kind of is because you're an evaluator.
No, but I don't want you to trip up. And again,
But that's kind of what you're looking for.
No, I don't want you to trip up.
I know you don't want to, but that's what you're looking for.
For you to trip up?
I mean, you're an evaluator. You're interrogating.
Well, no, I'm not interrogating.
Yeah, because that's a bad connotative word. You're evaluating.
Yes, I am evaluating.
Right, which would still be the same as doing that.
Okay. We will kindly disagree. So what we're going to do now is a mental health treatment history. Okay?
Right.
So when was the first time you've ever had outpatient counseling or therapy one-on-one with a counselor or a psychologist?
Well, my first time I was in a mental health care facility was, I think, when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade.
Okay.
And then I had counseling after that.
So around 2nd or 3rd grade for outpatient?
Yeah.
So
for a few months.
And then as an adult, when was the first time outpatient? And we'll get to inpatient a little bit later.
Classic definition of 18 years old, right? For adult.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went to an outpatient psychiatric, for medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then it wasn't because I had gone into a mental health hospital and then went there. It was something that was approved by my insurance. So I'm pretty sure you're not thinking about that.
Yeah, I just want to know right now, nothing with inpatient. Just when was the first time as an adult you had counseling or therapy?
Yeah, it would have had to have been around 2017 after I got denied and I had a bunch of chronic migraine issues.
Okay, so around 2017 was the first time?
Yeah, I ended up going to the ER for my migraines and anxiety and other issues.
Where were you having therapy at that time?
With a man named Ernest Ford before that point. He's a private counselor. I had seen him for over 6 years. Well, on average, once a week.
And where is he located?
I think that'd be either Mesa or Chandler.
Okay.
He's next to this Costco that's on it's not Alma School. I don't remember what those street names are actually. That was long ago. I been homeless, ended up moving around more than 13 times.
Have you had therapy since that time?
Yeah, quite a few actually. I ended up completing an outpatient program at St. Luke and got a little certificate. And then I did more therapy and tried to help myself as best I could, but I always seemed to end up back in a mental health hospital or eventually out on the street homeless.
How's outpatient treatment been for you?
Over a decade, probably.
No, like how's it been for you? Good, bad, indifferent?
No, wait. Say that one more time.
Oh, how has outpatient treatment been for you?
It's the same thing that I hear with everybody online and in real life. It's hit or miss. Most of them are pretty shitty. Some of them try. Some of them are already aware of the failed system and given up. Most of the people that need help are desperately trying to just try and make something happen. And, we try our best to do the coping and maintenance and make friends and so on, but a lot of us can't get around the problems of our brain and the situation that we can't get away from our abusers or stressors well enough that we can actually succeed. So I'd say it's the same for me. Not very well. It was pretty bad. And there were some good nuggets.
Thank you for that. So you first were inpatient around second or third grade. And then when were you inpatient as an adult?
Inpatient?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would have been that 2017.
That was the first time?
Yeah, because I got out after about 3 weeks.
And where was that?
Around the time I got my the SMI was the second or third time that year. So second half of 2017, maybe.
Yeah, where were you receiving care?
For the inpatient,
Mm-hmm.
Oasis. Yeah, they ended up putting me there twice. So I remember the other one was like Valley Hospital or Valley Health or something like that. Ran a lot more like a prison. There were a lot of people that were starting making shanks and
Oh, really?
hoarded stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then were you also at St. Luke's inpatient? I know you were there outpatient.
No, that was an outpatient they sent me to.
How many times have you been inpatient?
Counting when I was a kid?
As an adult?
As an adult. 5. 2 of them over 3 months stay. Twice port over treatment.
How were the inpatient?
Hmm?
Overall, how would you say the inpatient treatment has been for you?
Absolute bullshit, truthfully. It does nothing but act as a nice little getaway, if you can call it that, for a brief period of time until you go back to what it is that sent you there in the first place. Sometimes you'll learn something, but most of the time you just go do arts and crafts like you're in kindergarten again, and you talk to people, and you'll sit in a general room and try and watch a TV or something, and maybe play card games. There's not much of a difference between it and a prison, from what I've been told from others in there that have been.
What do you currently experience with your mental health?
Disassociative episodes, mood swings, lack of concentration, voices, paranoia, trouble with getting basic things done like washing and myself, taking care of myself, taking care of dishes, and making sure my apartment's clean. See here, going to bed at a decent time, waking up at a decent time, keeping a schedule, eating properly, cooking, cleaning, exercising. Basically everything I have trouble with. Like legitimately, it's not like me just trying to over embellish. I genuinely have trouble with everything I do. Like I question constantly. I'll fixate. I'll become paranoid, anxious, stressed, challenge, try and mask. It's hard. There's a lot of shit that's hard. For the brief periods of time that I'm like kind of like able to get things done, I'm able to manage to be alone by myself and be independent and still function that way. But it's certainly not something that most people are probably able to consider a type of thing that would be functional and non-disabled.
All right. When you say dissociative episodes, what is it that you're experiencing?
So you ever have PTSD?
So I'm asking you, what do you experience?
Right. So for me, a good way is that so I ignore what I'm doing to get things done, like my emotions as well, and then I then pop back in after having done what I did. Like I know it's very anxiety provoking to go and take this shower, and so I'll like disassociate and then go through it. Same thing with dishes, or if I suddenly have a conversation I wasn't expecting with someone, and next thing you know, I'm like seemingly able to mask really well, and then they probably wouldn't think very much of it. At times there's not that going on, but it happens, and it's pretty shitty. It feels really overwhelming because it's like you just sort of watch yourself, or you just sort of not care much.
Are you dissociating now?
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, no, I'm kind of just putting on some characters and bits to get things answered.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I'm kind of a person that sees people day in and day out, constantly sob story, failed system, over embellish.
Tell me a little bit about your mood swings. Well,
Yeah,
let me ask this other question. How often do you dissociate?
I wouldn't know. It also comes with the chronic migraines I get. And it's hard to tell because, I also disassociate from the observer part. Observe through lens of eyes and mask. So that way I can still participate and be genuinely me as myself, but then it's a weird one. It's like that's a workaround to making sure that I'll still be present, but then I'm not really there.
How often do you have mood swings?
Uh, every day, multiple times a day. It's really hard because it's like, well, we're talking about trying to deal with a trigger and then cope and then re-situate back from like online or with my life with my family or my clinic. And it's like that can cause ups and downs in its own right, but then like I have to try and come back and get back to and that's coping skills.
How often do you hear voices?
Yeah, uh, all the time, truthfully.
When did that start?
I don't know if I ever didn't have them. Then, okay, so how much do you know about quantum entanglement?
About what?
Quantum entanglement?
I don't. Don't.
Superpositions? Tunneling?
Nope.
Well, okay, so entanglement's like play a harmonic frequency, and eventually you get two particles that are within inside of let's say this given acoustic resonance and inside the tube, and then they start acting very similarly. If you interact with one, because the tubes are connected in the resonance, this will suddenly do the same thing. Well, it turns out if you interact with it the right way and imagine it like it goes up to a hill, right, and it's able to drop down, okay? That can mean during that drop down of energy from its previous non-stable state, it can then tunnel if you interact with it the right way, which means it'll suddenly appear over here, but it destabilizes itself into information. During that acoustic tube thing, it stores the information within inside of the vibrations and resonance, and then it pops up over here. Turns out there's a Penrose and causal set theory that allows for those particles or electrons, synaptic network loops, so they create fields. So like the individual spindle network of our neurons. But you know how they create electromagnetic fields, kind of like when you pass electric current through a copper cable. Guess what? It creates an electromagnetic field. So if you have the right brainwave patterning, I'm pretty sure that it would allow for you to ultimately entangle, and we already know biologically we can entangle. So there are multiple other species that entangle their own cellular structures.
Help me understand, Mr. Lemke, how this is helping us right now.
I can't hear you.
Oh, help me understand how this is helping our assessment.
All right, so it's to try and describe why I don't know if it's voices as a schizophrenic or ultimately a possibility of a biological phenomenon in which a degree of synchronized entanglement, sort of situation with a interactive profile that allows for some degree of feeling and or hearing, perceiving someone else's thoughts and or emotions without being directly in line of sight. Kind of like telepathy, but it's not really telepathy, you know what I mean? It works on a physics quantum basis. Like I know how that works. I've looked into it. So I could easily actually get the math and perform experiments and be able to get it done.
So
and even prove it possible.
So when you are hearing.
But then that's the thing, like it would still affect my brain in such a way that that emotion or that thought still causes me those issues and it still prevents me from
What types of things do you hear?
Arguments to the contrary, to various I hate yous, to various oh that's right and I agree, and so on and so on. To like their emotions and it affects my emotions, like mirror neural network sets. Like you have mirror neurons for empathy and sympathy. Some people have like high degrees of empathy and sympathy, and so their mirror neurons are overactive.
So when you're hearing these voices, what does that do for you?
What's that?
When you're hearing the voices, what does that bring up for you? I know you said sometimes their emotions will affect your emotions.
Yeah, it's just like having a conversation to like their literal emotions I feel, and then I have to allow for myself to know my emotions and turn theirs off, kind of thing. So like I think they can be highly agitated and highly all these, and then I have to go, and then it's like, no, I'm not feeling the same.
Do you ever have a time where you're not hearing voices?
No.
Okay.
But then I try and, push them out and focus and function, but it's very, very hard.
Regarding paranoia that you mentioned, what do you experience?
So paranoia for me is a strange one. So it's like when I'm paranoid, it can be because of anxiety or stress, and it can be so overwhelming. I think the whole world's ending, and I have to do something. But then there's other times when it's like, yeah, the body language of that person, what I know about them, and how it is that that interaction went, tells me that maybe like this, and then it turns into like then I overanalyze sort of thing, and then it's like I have to do this, and it's kind of like building up paranoia sort of stuff. And then it's like, well, you know what? We've seen more than enough of the government spying with in regards to how it is that they track our given data. And same thing with corporations and the profiles they ultimately have on us, on our given likes and interests, and how it is we ultimately view our internet spaces online. And of course, they use that for money, because that's how they get money on us. But then it's like, well, how paranoid is that to believe? And it's like, I don't need to be paranoid about that. But then it's like, actually, depending on ultimately how certain keywords and phrases trigger a given AI algorithmic set to have an influence over more feed suggestion for this, to that, or something else, and then a trigger to whether dangerous or warning or good or bad, which as if they don't do that. We do it with the government. We know that they do that. So then it's like, is that paranoid? And that's just a logical thing and statement. We already know that they've done that because that's come out. You know what I mean? So it's like, is it paranoia?
It is, right. It's in our time, it's pretty difficult to understand.
Not really. It's just most people don't have a lot of information on it.
What other concerns do you have with your mental health that I have not asked or that you've not told me?
I'm losing memory. And focus, thought process, fight, motivation. I'm massively depressed. Like I've had problems with suicidal ideation and other issues.
When was the last time you had thoughts of ending your life?
It's been a couple of months, but it's not like waxing wane. It's like very clearly based upon like a given problem in my life going on with hopeless and helpless. Like I was terrified that I ended up screwing up and I didn't have this appointment get uh, approved. And then I was like, I'm so terrible, and I can't fucking do anything. And truthfully, I was just continuing this other thing with
So
Voc
how often
Rehab,
do you have low mood now?
and then ultimately I had to stop Voc Rehab.
Mr. Lemke, how often do you have low mood?
I don't like it when you interrupt me.
Well, unfortunately.
Low mood is like all the time because I have clinical major
So
depression. I've been
remember at the
diagnosed that since I was a kid.
So remember at the beginning of when I gave my big long speech and I said,
Press for time.
there's going to be times when I interrupt you, but I don't mean to be rude.
No,
I was
you're
going to
not.
say mood.
But us
But
focusing
again,
on that, we're wasting time.
But
So.
again, remember that I know what the disability evaluators want within the report to make the best decision for
Yes,
you.
sir.
And so again, it seems rude, but I want the report to be the best for you. And while you think I'm an interrogator and we very friendly, if that's the word, disagree, I really want this report to be good. And in order for it to be good, I have to get the information from you that I know that they want. And while there's things that you want to share with me, they're just not relevant to the report.
Right.
And because they're not
But
relevant.
it feels relevant though, especially when it's the data set values that you ultimately were instilled with how it is that you were
and so
taught.
Here's the difference.
Could be a bias in terms of how it is that the evidence and the things I'm saying present themselves.
So Mr. Lemke, here's the difference. This is a consultative report, not a comprehensive report.
Right.
So you may be used to more of comprehensive where we gather everything. And that's just not this type of report.
No, I almost never get anyone doing that. That's why I try and fight for it to come out.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Most people 5-10 minutes and then you're this. So
Yeah.
sort of a thing.
So the therapy that you're receiving, do you feel heard in the therapy that you receive?
I'm trying to get a trauma therapist.
Good.
Yeah, no, outside of my clinic though,
Mm-hmm.
just because I had an issue with one of my therapists writing something in the report that I viewed as, well, it didn't fully tell the story, and there was context behind some of the things that were going
Mr.
on.
Lemke, I'm going to interrupt you again.
Okay.
And I'm going to go back to the question because this is the information they need. How often do you have low mood?
Like I said before you started doing that, I was diagnosed clinically major depressed.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid.
Right. So currently, in the past month or so, how often do you have low mood?
Every day.
Okay. And that's been since childhood.
Yeah. So I don't, I mean, I know when I'm actually like feeling normal, but it's like, it's rare. So.
What other things do you experience symptom-wise that would say depression?
Anhedonic styles of sadness, no motivation, and hopelessness, struggling to perform any basic tasks, sleep, mood, general bad, low feeling.
Tell me about your sleep.
Lots of sad, so sad.
Tell me about your sleep.
What's that?
Tell me about your sleep.
Sleep. Chaotic.
When did it become
So
chaotic?
either I stay awake and then I sleep for a short period of time, but because I have to do something, for a given day, and I didn't manage my sleep well, thanks to the issues I have, or I sleep in because I don't have something going on, and then it makes it much easier for me to stay awake longer than I should. Inconsistent sleep patterns from night owl for a while to a daytime person.
All right, are you able to maintain your hygiene on your own? You can take
Oh,
a bath
well,
shower by
yeah.
yourself?
Yeah.
And you have a driver's license. Do you drive?
No. No, I have no car, no transportation, and no insurance.
But
No
you know
money.
how to drive.
But I know how to drive, yes.
Do you know how to manage money and pay bills?
For the most part.
Okay, and do you know how to shop, prepare a meal?
Well,
What's
I
your
do.
highest level of education?
Dropped out of college.
So some college?
Mm.
Did you ever have special education services?
Yeah, when I was in elementary school.
What was
It
that
turns
for?
out they found out I was ADHD too.
And then have you ever had a job?
I ever had a job? Yeah, briefly.
When was that?
You asked in the beginning, last year, or 2021, for a week. But
Was that the only time you've worked?
No. There's a dishwashing position I didn't ask for, and then all of a sudden I got because my parents gave it to me. A brief period of time. What the fuck was that actually? There's something after that. I forgot what it was actually.
Okay.
But then I had I was the one that I had the longest was at a fast food place at Wendy's. That drove me to being homeless and suicidal.
Where were you born?
Mesa, Arizona.
Were your parents married or not married when you were born?
Married.
And were you raised speaking any language other than English?
No.
How many siblings did you have growing up?
2.
Have you ever been married?
No.
Do you have any children?
No. You have to have sex to have children.
Where do you currently sleep?
At an SSI housing facility apartment that I have leased to me. So a bed.
But you have a full apartment?
Yeah, an apartment would be a generous thing to say, considering it's really a housing facility than an apartment.
Have you ever been arrested?
That's a tough one. They handcuffed me and then took me to a hospital.
Have you ever been in the military?
No.
Have you ever been a tobacco user?
No.
Have you ever abused alcohol?
No.
What about drugs?
That's a tough one. So, like, I've used cannabis as a medication, and I tried hallucinogenics as a medication.
Have you ever used illicit drugs for not medicinal purposes?
No.
How old are you right now?
31.
What's your height?
6'3" 3/4", 193 centimeters, or 6'4" with some shoes on.
And what's your weight?
220, 215, I think. I haven't weighed myself in a while.
How's your mood today?
Stressed, anxious, and I have to pee really, really bad.
We're almost done.
I'm depressed too because I don't think this will make it so I can actually get the very thing I need to heal.
What's today's date?
I think it's the 27th of September, 2023.
And what is today, the day of the week?
I said Wednesday.
What season is it?
Is fall in September?
What type of building are we in?
A hotel.
What floor are we on?
The second.
What city are we in?
Show.
What county are we in?
Apache.
What state are we in?
Arizona. But I've had to constantly answer these questions for like many, many days.
Repeat after me. Ball, flag, tree.
Ball, flag, tree.
Remember those words because I'm going to ask you to recall them again in a moment. Please begin with 100. Count backward by
Sorry,
7.
I have to pee. It's so bad.
Okay. I believe you can go back downstairs and find
Yeah,
the restroom
no.
there.
For what it's worth, answering those questions were really easy because I've had to constantly repeat them in my head to remember them. Yeah. And I've been here 2 times already. It's so bad. My head hurts so much right now. I feel like I'm about to fucking like die. I want to go home so bad. I want to beat the shit out of her. I literally want to beat her up. I know that's normal, but still. It's antagonistic. It's an intentional thing. I can't back down. I gotta look for a weakness. I could not stay in there either. I needed to breathe. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't breathe at all. Bullshit. Yeah, I already hear him saying, he's just pretending. He's just fucking acting. Just to pretend. He's just fucking acting. I should probably put this online. There apparently is no other appointment. I don't see anyone else out there. I should probably tell her about those feelings. And I noticed she's like, well, I got you now. She answered like you're supposed to, like we train you to. It's bad that you're forcing yourself to work under pressure. Doesn't say anything about overtime here, or your duty. I don't have a bias for my clinical setting that teaches me to think that people are faking and lying. Shit. I'm freaking out. I want to go back. I want to go home. I don't want to go back. Sucks. This fucking sucks. We gotta do it. We gotta fucking do it. Come on, man. I know. Hey. I'm freaking.
We are almost done.
Yeah, no, because I feel like that you asked me these questions quite clearly to try and indicate in the moment I would be able to remember things, but it doesn't do anything about the stress and anxiety and panic attack I just had and the overwhelming anger I just got.
So tell me what happened.
Yeah, I had to leave. It isn't just I had to pee. Wow. And then it's like, I can't ever back down. I have to meet that challenge. Because otherwise people will fucking go after you if they think that you can't remember something. And they'll fucking bully and harass your ass.
And if you don't want to do that part of this assessment, we don't have to. It's called the mental status examination, and it just sees how you're doing from a cognitive standpoint.
Well, I'm not doing well now, I'll tell you that much.
Well, we don't have to finish that part, and that was the last part.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm definitely disassociating. I want to go home, and I have to go back with my abusive mother. That has to drive me all the way back. Yay. Fuck
So
the state.
what do you typically do to help calm yourself down?
I breathe. I try and ignore everything else. I lay down. Try and focus on where the feelings are.
Do you want to take some breaths now?
No, I feel ready to just fight.
Yeah, but breaths might help that go away a bit. And
I
what
can't hear you.
Oh, I said breaths might help that go away a bit. And what I don't want to see is you get into a fight with your mom while you do
I'm not going to get into a fight. I learned how best to just turn off and not do anything but try to remain silent, but also respond such that she doesn't have an end to try and antagonize and bully me, and then still add something so that way she thinks I'm being social. Like I do with most people. I found a lot of people that are like that, truthfully. They don't even understand how abusive and lacking like a clear willingness to have a boundary and communication by default.
Well, I hope that as the day progresses, things get better for you.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Thank you for managing this appointment. I know it was tough, and I know that you feel
No
that
idea.
I know that you feel that I was being rude. Not my intent. Not my intent. But I do know what they need. And so I want to make sure, again, I keep ruminating on this. I want to make sure it's a good report. Okay. So what will happen next is the report will be submitted in the next week or so. If you want a copy of the report or any reports that have been written by Social Security in the past, you can ask directly from Social Security. I can't provide the report to you. Okay, but you can request any reports directly from them.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I don't actually even know if they ever got any of the stuff from my hospital visit stays, my clinics that I've had in the past, and all the diagnoses I've had. I mean, I've gone through schizoaffective, bipolar, borderline, PTSD, practically everything.
Yeah, so I want you to do this, and we don't know each other, right? Get rid of the diagnoses. Don't harp on those.
Yeah.
Focus on what you experience. And that's why, remember when you kept asking me, I was like, no, what do you experience? Because it's really the symptoms, what you experience now, that matters. Diagnoses are a billing code, right? It's so insurance knows, like, okay, great. But if you are diagnosed with schizophrenia and I'm diagnosed with schizophrenia, it doesn't mean that we experience the same things. If you're diagnosed with PTSD and I'm diagnosed, same thing. It doesn't mean we experience the same things. So while a diagnosis gives like, oh, okay, this person probably, what really matters is what you actually experience. And
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to get at today.
Yeah, the worst part too is it's like, I don't think people understand that when it's not in a setting where I feel antagonized or attacked, I'm a very calm individual that's very focused and present, that can love and treat people right and not be something to fear at all. And so that's another part of a lot of my issues internally with how others perceive me. and I try and challenge as much as I can. Even if I might not be able to work, does not necessarily mean that I am inferior or less than.
That's right. I
Things.
agree with that.
Anyways.
Do you want to take some breaths still before you go?
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose.
Do you want me to walk you through those, or do you?
No. I mean, I just don't feel comfortable around you doing it. That's another part of it. So.
And that's fine. Again, I'm some stranger in a hotel room that has been made into a makeshift office.
Right.
Yeah, and that's okay. You don't have to do it with me here. So I will hold the door for you, and then we'll be done. All right? But do take your breaths before you get in the car with your mom.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a nice one.
Here's one.